Man, when the Bible says that the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head, that is so true. Being targeted, you're constantly on the move. You can never stay in one spot. A moving target is harder to hit. But let me tell y'all what happened to me. I was lured out here to Dallas, okay? I had some individuals that reached out to me that encouraged me to come out to Dallas. One in particular was this old lady who claimed to be a TI. She sent me a comment on one of my videos, and I screenshotted it. I'm going to be pulling that up while I'm giving you guys an account of what happened exactly. So she, matter of fact, just 1 second. And there may be times to where I might pause so that I can recall properly exactly what happened. So please forgive me if I do have to pause like that. But so yeah, her name, the alias she used was Mary Jo Long. Her real name is Janie Gent. And she sent me a comment on one of my videos. Now, around the time that she sent me this comment, okay, this was during the time to where I was really looking for a change of scenery. I had been in Houston for a while. I got tired of seeing the same faces. The gang stalking really wasn't, it was nothing for me to deal with. I was used to their tactics. I was pretty good at maneuvering and things of that nature. The only reason why I wanted to leave, well, the main reason rather, was the relationship that I was in with this chick, okay? I just felt like this person was not supporting me as best as she should have been, and was not really sensitive to my targeting. But that's a whole nother story. I'm going to do another video about that pretty soon. So this lady, Mary Jo, reaches out to me, and she leaves a comment, and I'll show you the comment. Oftentimes on my videos, I don't like just talking about what I experienced. I like to at least show you guys snippets of proof so that people can see that what I'm talking about is true or has some validity to it. So let me go ahead and show you the comment. So, Mary Jo Long, and she says, I'm 1, 2, so your life is part of my life, so I know you and myself are not crazy, LOL. Then she goes on to say on the second comment, sorry, let me go back, I accidentally clicked something. She goes on to say on the second comment, Ocho, come to Dallas, I got you, and a job, and a room of your own, I got you. And then she leaves her phone number and then her name, okay? So, again, at the time I was looking for a change of scenery, and, that was definitely going to be a change of scenery. It would have been better if it would have been out of Texas, but, I said, let me just, take a small step. So, I took this old lady on her offer. She worked at a security company here in Dallas, and it was going to be pretty easy to get me on. All you need to do is just have an active, license. And I'm an active licensed security officer, armed and unarmed. So I come out to Dallas, and the gang stalking was horrific. I mean, it was pretty vicious. From the time I got on the road, all the way into Dallas, I had 18-wheelers cutting me off. I had, just vehicles flying past me like torpedoes, one at a time. Sometimes it would be convoys. Just cutting me off, tailgating me. I mean, it was pretty vicious. And there was a point where I got, I was like about 50 or 40 miles away from Dallas. I pulled over on the shoulder of the freeway to make myself something to eat because I gotten hungry. And while I'm making my sandwich, this lady pulls up behind me. I didn't even see her pull up behind me at first. She just kind of appears on the side of my driver's side door, and she knocks on my window like she's law enforcement, and she was kind of a thick Caucasian lady, just like a thick Caucasian lady or whatever, had blonde hair. And I cracked my window a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, what's up? And she was like, are you all right? I just noticed you're on the side of the freeway. Are you broke down and this, that, and the other? And I'm looking like, do you usually, check on people that are stranded on the side of the road, being a female? And, immediately I already knew this woman was a perp, because what woman, especially a Caucasian woman, and you have a black guy that's on the side of the freeway, You get what I'm saying? Like, it just, obviously something is not right with that picture. What is this Caucasian woman doing checking up on this black dude, you know, supposedly stranded on the side of the road? So anyways, I was just like, no, I don't need any help. I'm fine. And she was like, okay, well, you know, I was just checking on you and, you know, hey, have a nice day. You know, and then she walks back to her vehicle or whatever. And so I continue eating my sandwich or whatever, and I make my way into Dallas. And when I get to Dallas, it's nightfall. I didn't announce to Mary Jo that I was coming to Dallas that particular day because I didn't want to tip off the gang stalkers. But it doesn't matter if you don't announce things. These people always seem to know what your moves are before you even make it. Sometimes before you even think it, they know. Okay? So at that point, when I was pulled over on the side of the freeway, you know, after I ate my sandwich, I called her and I sent her a text and let her know that I was making my way into Dallas. And she told me that was cool. She gave me an address to the post that she was working that night, and she wanted me to come there to get the key to her place. So I arrive in Dallas. I get to her post. The vibe immediately, it just something about it wasn't right. It just, in my mind, I just felt like this person was actually a perp. The way that she greeted me was, I don't know, she had open arms, like, you know, hello, brother, in the struggle, or some kind of comment she made, something to that effect. And it just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? And something that struck me as a bit of a red flag was that what person is going to give the keys to their house to a complete stranger? Now, granted, I have videos out showcasing my targeting. I put a lot of my life out there, the things that I go through on my YouTube, okay? So it was like, I was kind of giving it the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, something about it didn't seem right. And on top of that, this is a woman. You understand what I'm saying? An old woman. So what old woman is going to give some stranger a key to her place and just be comfortable with them being there while she's at work? So that kind of stuck out in my head. But nevertheless, still gave it the benefit of the doubt. You know, still, I was just trying to be positive. This is going to be a bit of a new change. I know I'm still going to go through the gang stalking, but at least it's in a different place. So I got her keys from her. She told me what room that I would go into when I got into her apartment and things of that nature. And that was pretty much it. She said, mi casa, su casa, you know, whatever you need, you know, just help yourself. And she told me what time she got off of work. I was like, okay, cool. So I leave, get gang stalked more on the road on the way to her apartment. And the building that she lived in, it's a small apartment complex. It's actually divided into different buildings. So each building, I believe, has only 4 units. So the setup was perfect because I was able to see my vehicle right outside the window. And there weren't that many neighbors to deal with. And it was gated. The part where the gate would be closed, the gate was actually missing. So she did tell me occasionally gang stalkers might come through there and stuff like that. But, it, you know, the neighbors are pretty on alert about it. She mentioned that the neighbors know about the gang stalking and this, that, and the other. And they do look out for her and all this kind of stuff. And come to find out, you know, they're all actually gang stalkers at the end of the day. So anyways, I'll get to that in a minute. But so I get into her apartment and, you know, I go into the room she instructed me to go in. Of course, I didn't start bringing all my stuff out my vehicle, you know, because I need to get a feel for this place. I need to make sure that, you know, I'm going to be comfortable with being here, or being there, rather. So I only had my backpack up, and I went into the room, and I went to sleep. I didn't sleep easy, and I'm already a light sleeper anyways, but, you know, just the fact of being in a stranger's home and not knowing what to expect, you know, of course, I didn't really sleep too good the first night. So anyway, she gets home. She immediately starts talking about the gang stalking and all the things that she's been through and this, that, and the other. And she asked me when I wanted to go up to the her job to apply for the security job. So I mentioned to her, like, you know, let me just have 2 days to myself and then we can go like on the 3rd day or whatever. So she was like, okay, cool. So 3rd day came. I got dressed. We got in the vehicle. We went in my vehicle and went up to the security office. And she introduced me to the the bosses and whatnot, and I filled out the application, and I got the job the same day. So I was working, I think I got to Dallas, I think it was like on a Wednesday. So by that weekend, I was actually working on a post as a commissioned officer, okay? So everything was looking good. She kept her word. She had a room for me. She got me a job, and everything was looking really good. And I noticed little things around the apartment. Again, being targeted, a lot of times we have a lot of triggers and things of that nature. Sometimes these things can be innocent with people. Maybe they're not a stalker. They just happen to have those things. But in my experience, I've had a lot of gang stalkers that wear army fatigue clothing, whether it's a jacket, shirt, shorts, pants, or army fatigue shoes even. I've had a lot of gang stalkers wear that type of gear. She told me that she had hangers in her closet and that I could use some of those hangers to hang some clothes up. So as I go into this closet, I notice she has a dress that is army fatigued. So that immediately triggers me, but I didn't panic. I just gave it the benefit of the doubt. Again, I was there to be positive and just try to overlook whatever thing that might trigger me, So I didn't think nothing of it. I just continued on. And what else was going on? She also had a shirt in the dryer. It was like this demonic looking bulldog shirt. And I was like, wow, like, what is the person of God doing having a shirt that looks like this? It looked like a devil dog or something. But it had some wording on it. I want to say it said bully, or I don't want to say it. I think it might have said bully. There was some sort of writing on it that was definitely not godly. You know what I mean? So whatever she had in the dryer, whenever I was washing clothes, I was always sure to fold things very neatly. I didn't just want to take somebody's things out and just toss it to the side. That's just the type of person I am. I'll go ahead and fold it and set it neatly to the side. So that's what I did. So that was just something I noticed that kind of posed a bit of a red flag to me. But so I start working and stuff like that. I'm getting gang stalked heavy on the job, on the way to work, back from work. I'm coming back to the apartment, giving her my stories of what happened to me. And then she's also telling me about things that happened to her. And I noticed over time, like, she starts, she gets in my personal space a lot. She would oftentimes, like, touch my shoulder or put her lean up on me, or just, whatever chance she could try to brush up against me. And those things made me extremely uncomfortable. I would always cringe whenever it would happen, so I'm pretty sure she knew that I didn't like that, but it still continued. And I noticed, like, whenever I wasn't responding to her advances, her attitude would start to change. You know what I mean? Like, it was just noticeable. I also noticed that whenever I would talk about my girlfriend, she would noticeably get irritated. Okay. So I got the feel that this lady had an ulterior motive. She wasn't there to help me out of the kindness of her heart. I believe she had some other motives. So at the end of the day, it looked to me like this woman was actually a gang stalker. Okay, based off of my experiences that I went through while I was there. I noticed one time I came back from work and I had been gang stalked really bad that particular night. And I was driving back from work, and the stalker set it up to where I got this nail in my tire. Not some, like, thin nail. It was like a thick nail. Almost like almost looked like a lug nut, but it had a nail at the end of it. But it was stuck in my tire. And as I exit off the freeway, that's when I acquired that nail, because I started hearing the tapping noise as the tire's rotating, letting you know that something's in your tire. So I made it back to the apartment, and lo and behold, she's standing outside upstairs in front of her apartment door smoking a cigarette. And I swear, it was almost as if, like, she was trying to feed off of my anger, or me being upset about there being a nail in my tire, because she had, like, the duper's delight smirk on her face. She's puffing a cigarette like she's Satan. You know what I mean? And it's like, that was another thing that was so uncomfortable for me as well. This woman was a chain smoker. No matter how many towels I would put up under the door to cover the crevices, the smoke would always get in through. And I was thankful to God that I had shelter. But then at the same time, it was like, at what cost? You know, is this going to cost me my lungs? Because my lungs were literally burning. Like it was making me sick, inhaling all this cigarette smoke. And one thing I know that gang stalkers do, a lot of them do, is smoke. You know, they're heavy smokers that like to blow their cigarette smoke in your face and around you and stuff like that. So to me, that was another red flag. So anyways, let me see what else there was. So there was the nail on the tire thing. I noticed that she listened to Tupac. I like Tupac's music. I have some of his music in my playlist. And when I was in Houston, oftentimes the perps would liken me to Tupac. So I thought that was also something that was coincidental, that this lady would bump Tupac in her car whenever she would go down to her vehicle on her way to work. So she'd sit in her car for a minute and she'd bump it just loud enough for me to hear it, because the walls in the apartment are very thin. So I was able to hear the music she was playing, and she would play like Hail Mary oftentimes and things like that. So I was like, okay, that's another coincidence. You know what I mean? But then in my mind, I was like, oh, maybe she's just a gangster like that, because she comes off as like this old lady, but she's like gangster, you know, like these gang stalkers better not mess with me, because I'm going to do it, you know, if they do ABC, I'm going to do XYZ type stuff. So again, I just tried to overlook it, even though it was still coincidental. Let's see. She even mentioned to me also that Jesus, she was like, you know that Jesus is the devil, right? And I'm thinking to myself, wow, you know, she never really came off as a godly person anyways. Like she would talk about God sometimes and what God is going to do to the gang stalkers. But just the way that she acted and lived and how she talked, you know, she did not have a godly spirit at all. So, that was something that I always noticed. Let's see what else. She accused me of being a perp and moving items around in her house. One particular incident that I recall was she purchased an air freshener to somewhat alleviate the odor or the smell of the cigarette smoke. And how stupid is that? How are you going to alleviate the odor or neutralize the odor of cigarette smoke, rather, by purchasing an air freshener? So she got this automatic air freshener and wanted me to put that in the room that I was sleeping in. And at first I was okay with it, but over time I noticed that the odor of the air freshener was extremely strong. That odor mixed in with the cigarette smoke was more chaos for my lungs. So while she was at work, I removed the air freshener and I placed it in near the dining room table by the kitchen. I actually placed it on top of the microwave. Now, I forgot to mention this to her, okay? So she tried to say, like, imply that I was being a perp, because she had an ex-boyfriend that used to live with her, and he turned perp. And that was one of the things that she said that he would do to try to make her seem like she was crazy. Like, he would oftentimes try to gaslight her. But I pleaded with this woman and I explained to her that, look, I was not trying to gaslight you. I explained to her the situation. That spray from that air freshener in conjunction with your cigarette smoke was killing my lungs. It was an honest mistake. I should have immediately texted you and told you about it, but it just slipped my mind. That was it. So I explained that to her. So that was one of the things that she used to try to say that I was a perp and flip things on me. A lot of times with these gang stalkers, which a lot of them, if not all of them, are narcissists, they try to flip things on you. Whatever it is that they're doing to you is that they try to flip it on you to make you seem like you're the bad person. So I always gave explanations, logical explanations as to why I did certain things. And it had nothing to do with gaslighting her or being a perp. Okay. What else? She made it clear to me when I first got in her house that it was okay for me to eat the food that was in her house. She said, "Mi casa, su casa, whatever you need in there, you can have." She, gave me a tour of the kitchen and items in the storage cabinets and things of that nature. And at first I was skeptical about it, because I was like, I really prefer to just, buy my own stuff. But she knew I didn't have much money, and the job, when I got hired on with the security company, I was informed that it's going to take a month before I get my first check. Okay, because they said the reason for that is if you ever quit or if you get fired or whatever, they like for you to have a check in the hole. So, that was understandable. But So she told me that hold on to the little money that you have, I'll provide for you, whatever food you want to eat, that's fine. So I took her up on the offer. And next thing you know, I'm getting accused of using her. I'm being accused of eating things and not replacing things. Now, sometimes I get anxiety about going to the grocery store, okay? And I noticed whenever she would go to the grocery store, she would ask me if there was anything that I need. And I would always tell her no. Occasionally I'll say, hey, can you get this or that? But most of the time I would say no. But whenever there was times that I did need something, I would offer her my card so that she could purchase whatever it is that I needed with my money or my funds. And that way, she's not having to spend any of her money or whatever. Okay. I also told her that if there was something that I've eaten that needs to be replaced, please use the card that I've given you. There's money on this card. Please use that to replace it. So I'm thinking, okay, I've offered to replace things, by giving her the card. So she tries to make it look like I'm still using her or whatever. And I explained to her, like, sometimes I have anxiety about going to the store. Sometimes I just won't even go to the store, and it happens occasionally. It's not all the time. So I figured that this woman, who I looked up to as a motherly figure, who was trying to help out a fellow TI that was going through the same struggle as her, would help me out. But that was far from the case. Come to find out, she was going to use these things later on, try to use these things against me. Okay? So there was that. Let me see. Also, she used this to try to accuse me of being a perp as well. Now, I didn't have much money saved up, okay? I was really relying on this job, working and getting paychecks to come in and things of that nature. I was already highly appreciative of the offer that she gave me initially. The offer was that when I come to Dallas, that I get to keep my first month's pay. So whatever paychecks I get for the first month, she said I could keep that. Then after that, she's going to have to start charging me in terms of my portion of the rent and bills and things of that nature, okay? Now, I asked her a question, and in my mind, either she was going to say yes, a simple yes, she could do it, or no, okay? So what happened was, I asked her, I said, I don't really have much money saved up. Is there any way that you could be lenient on whatever my portion of the rent is? I'm not saying that I'm not implying that I want to stay here free. All I'm saying is whatever it is that you're going to charge me, is there any way that you could be lenient on that so that I can accumulate some paychecks that I can put into savings? That was all that I was asking this lady, okay? This lady didn't have to pay for me to buy food or anything like that. I was still going to take care of those things myself. All I was asking for was leniency on the rent so that I can save up some money to have money in reserve, so in case anything happens, I'll have some money saved up. This was all I asked this lady. And she completely blew up. She started cursing at me. It was like this demon came out of her. How dare you ask me this, considering what I've offered you so far? How dare you open your mouth to even ask me that? And I'm like, wow, Miss Janie, like, I'm just asking a simple question. Either you're able to do it or you're not. And she tried to make it look as if I was trying to get over on her, trying to make it look as if I was trying to be slick. And that's not me at all. People that know me, that have known me my life, have known that I've given the shirt off the shirt off my back to help people. I have not done anything to get over on anybody. I don't take advantage of people. This lady reached out to me under the guise of she can help me. So I simply asked her a question if she could help me even further. The only thing she had to do was either say yes, she can do it, or no. And we can still stick to the original plan and the original offer. So that was just highly offensive to me, that she would imply that I'm trying to get over on her when that's not even the type of person that I am. Okay? So there was that. And let me see what else there was. The demon within her just really started to manifest. There was a time to where, when I was off from work, I asked her if I could open the blinds in the house to let the sunlight in. And it was as if she had this thing against, having sunlight in the house. So she told me that no, because her concern was the gang stalkers were going to look in and things of that nature. We stayed on a second floor apartment building. Like, who's going to look in from the second floor? So anyways, I noticed I was in the living room one time, and then she stepped out to smoke a cigarette. She was kind of like halfway out of the apartment, so she had one leg in, one leg out. And I was in the living room, and she was having a discussion with me. I don't recall what the discussion was, but I noticed that when this woman's face was out in the sun, I swear to you, and I actually saw this with my own eyes. It was almost as if her eyes started to shift into like slits almost. Like her eyes became elongated and thin. And it was like when she was talking to me, she was looking at me in my eyes. And it was like whatever devil or reptilian she is, it noticed that I noticed its eyes. So what she did very slickly was she stepped inside the house quickly to get out of the sun. As the Father in heaven is my witness, I saw this on this woman. And I was just astonished, like, wow, like I actually just saw this. Okay, so this woman was not what she portrayed herself as being, and God was letting me see that. Okay? Oftentimes, this woman would walk into my room without knocking. There were times she would walk in, she would have her pants unzipped, and you could see her underwear. She did that on several occasions. She also encouraged me not to lock my door. She would say things like, oh, I'm not just going to bust up in your room like that. You ain't got to lock the door. And I did the exact opposite. I made sure every time I locked the door, especially when I started seeing her walk into my room with her pants unzipped and things like that, that was extremely inappropriate. Now, whether this lady was serious about these little things that she was doing as far as coming on to me, like it seemed that she was serious, or it could have been something that maybe a handler was instructing her to do to mess with me. Either way, it was extremely inappropriate. You know, I was even highly offended that this woman would even think that she'd even have a chance with me like that. You know, she's not an attractive woman at all. I'm going to leave a link at the bottom in the description of this video so that you can see some of her videos and see what she looks like and all that. And you guys be the judge. I'm just simply telling you what I experienced and what I saw when I was living in this woman's apartment. Okay. What else was there? Oftentimes you have to be careful because some of these people will reach out to you under the guise of they're trying to help you when really you're being trafficked. You have to be very careful about that. Sometimes these people will put things in your food and you'll never know what happened to you. You know, so you got to be very careful about the people that you accept help from, because it's been said there's a consensus that a lot of TIs are being trafficked. You know,